Well, it's about time, right? It's been a minute. Hello, folks. Welcome back to another History of Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Joe Monroe. And today, well, it's going to be a little controversial because I know we did an episode on the Cruiserweights on the No Sale Roundtable recently. But doing further research, the light heavyweight and the Cruiserweight division actually go hand in hand. And I'm going to explain to you here in just a minute. But first, I want to give a shout out to the notorious ATB who actually pushed me to keep doing these videos because, believe it or not, he actually seems like he's enjoying the stuff I put out. So thank you, ATB. Also, happy late birthday, buddy. Let's get on to the video. So, in 1965, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, that's right, the WWF, introduces the Junior Heavyweight Championship. The title reigned from September 1965 to 1972, when Johnny D. Fazio, I think I'm reading that right. If I'm saying that wrong, please let me know in the comments below. Became the most notable champion during that time frame, holding it 4 times before retiring it and essentially vacating the title. The championship returned in January 1978 with Carlos Jose Estrada becoming the first new champion after its reactivation. Shortly after 1978, the company would rebrand to the WWF. The company entered a cross-pass promotion with New Japan Pro Wrestling just days after Carlos Jose Estrada won the Junior Heavyweight Championship. He lost it to Tatsumi Fujinami. From that point on, the championship was used almost exclusively in New Japan. That's why during the Golden Era, we really didn't see it too much on TV. Essentially, the title was vacated for the final time on October 31st, 1985, when the partnership between the WWF and New Japan ended. Then, in 1981, during the time, Japan had the Junior Heavyweight Championship, the WWF introduced the new belt, the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Unlike its previous Junior Heavyweight title, this one was mainly defended in Mexico thanks to the partnership with the Universal Wrestling Association. New Japan also recognized this title, and it was defended in matches involving both promotions. The partnership ended in 1995, and the title returned to the WWF by 1997, which is where we mainly know it on mainstream WWF viewers. The WWF then rewrote the title's history, which, was a common goal in the WWF/WWE, saying it was created in 1997. The title would remain active until 2001 when WWF acquired WCW. Speaking of WCW, let's get on to a little bit of a brief history on that one. I know what you're thinking. The WCW, that's where the Cruiserweight started, right? They always had the Cruiserweight title. Wrong. In the early 90s, the WCW introduced the WCW Light Heavyweight Championship, with Brian Pillman becoming the very first champion. Then, in 1996, the Light Heavyweight Championship was then rebranded the WCW Cruiserweight Championship that we know today. The new division showcased more of a fast-paced, high-flying, athletic action and introduced fans to international styles from Mexico and Japan, especially in Mexico, which is known as Lucha Libre, and it's all in Japan's Super Junior style. Names like Rey Mysterio Jr., Psicosis, Juventud Guerrera, Ultimo Dragon, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko. I can go on and on with this list. They help make that division and showcase that division. And to be completely honest with you, I think that's what helped WCW in the long run until it eventually ended. Because they had that fast-paced, in-your-face action that people wanted to pay attention to every Monday night. Influential for WCW as the years go by, especially during 99 and 2000s. The Cruiserweight division became less of a priority, and to be completely honest with you, they made it more of a joke. And the Cruiserweight title will then stay forth as the WWF bought WCW. Okay, you remember earlier when I said both titles basically cross paths? here's where they cross paths. Because in 2001, we all know that Vince McMahon bought WCW. It was his achieving moment, and to be completely honest with you, I personally think it was a black eye to wrestling because Vince didn't have no more competition. That being said, this is where things get a little murky with the light heavyweight and their cruiserweight titles. In that time during the acquisition, they realized they cannot have both the cruiserweight title and the light heavyweight title. In March 2002, the light heavyweight championship was defended one more time at a house show, with X-Pac being its official last champion, and we will no longer see the light heavyweight championship in the WWF or in the WWE. This is where it's going to be crossing paths, because I think both lineages cross paths, because the WCW Cruiserweight title, shortly after the light heavyweight title was deactivated, was rebranded the WWF Cruiserweight Championship due to its popularity. And I think this right here, this little tidbit in history, is where both titles cross paths. Then the WWF was rebranded the WWE thanks to the World Wildlife Fund lawsuit, and then the title was then rebranded the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, which kids who grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era kind of sort of seen a resurgence in the Cruiserweight division, and the title will last from 2002 until 2007, when it was vacated and Hornswoggle, out of all people, was the last champion. Just 10 years later, in 2017, the WWE decided to bring back the Cruiserweights by having the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, you're probably asking what the Cruiserweight Classic is. Again, this was almost 10 years ago itself, so not many people probably remember this. It was a 32-man tournament with people from all over the world competing in this event. People like Tajiri and Zack Sabre Jr., believe it or not, actually competed in this. However, neither man won the tournament. It was actually TJ Perkins who won the tournament. He worked in TNA previously, but he won the tournament, became the inaugural WWE Cruiserweight Champion, and therefore started defending the title on the Raw brand. Now, here's a little bit of a side note, and I think this is complete bullcrap, and this is why WWE can get away with what they can get away with. It is rumored that this title that was reintroduced in 2017 does not share any lineage with the previous Cruiserweight Championship. Therefore, it doesn't share any lineage with the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. I think that's complete bullcrap, but you know what? It is what it is. Then November of that year, WWE introduced 205 Live, which is just exclusively to the WWE Network. So the Cruiserweight title was defended on not only Raw, but it was also defended on 205 Live until 2018, when it came just specifically held on 205 Live. Then, shortly a year later, 205 Live brand was then axed out, and the Cruiserweight Championship was then rebranded to NXT, becoming the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And that will last until 2002, when Carmelo Hayes went up against defending champion Roderick Strong to combine the NXT Cruiserweight and NXT North American Championships, therefore seeing the Cruiserweight Championship for the final time. So you're probably asking yourself, why did you combine both the light heavyweights and the cruiserweights together? Well, to me, they're one and the same. And if you stop and think about the history of both titles, and see that little bit, this little time stream where they both come together, in my opinion, that's where they cross paths, and that's where both the lineages branch out. Even though they were in separate companies, they both are one and the same eventually, thanks to Vince acquiring WCW. Another question you're probably asking yourself, what makes the cruiserweights and the light heavyweights so important to professional wrestling history, Joe? Simple. It introduced a new style to the mainstream audience, especially during the Cruiserweights time in WCW. It also helped launch the careers of people like Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Billy Kidman. I can go on and on with that list. And the influence did not stop there. It also helped launch a new division entirely. And I'm not just talking about the light heavyweight, junior heavyweight, or the cruiserweights. There's also the X division. That's the most notable one. That is still going today in TNA or Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it. So the influential stature of these divisions are still held up to this day, even though the main titles that helped this division move along are no longer here with us. That is the legacy of the light heavyweights slash cruiserweights. If you want my complete honest opinion, the reason they stopped having the cruiserweight division is because, well, modern day wrestlers wrestle that cruiserweight style. And they're like, there's no sense in these guys having one specific title. Let's just go ahead and have them compete for the normal titles that heavyweights are competing for. That's okay, but personally, and I know there's a lot of people out there who would agree with me, they would still love to see either the light heavyweight or cruiserweight championship back in mainstream wrestling. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I still think those two go hand in hand. And that is my brief history of the light heavyweights and cruiserweights and how those two are one and the same. I'll let you debate in the comments below whether you agree with me or not. Just let me know what you all think. Next week, we're going to be back with another episode, and we're going to be talking about the X Division. And then later that Friday is when we're going to have the big debate of the X Division versus the Cruiserweight Division. Yes, there is some differences, even differences I didn't discuss in this video. So, let me know what you all think in the comments below. I will see you all next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you love wrestling, keep enjoying it, keep loving it. But if you're going to be a troll about it, especially this ultimate troll who's been hitting social media lately, shut up and enjoy professional wrestling. We are out.